Okay, thank you very much. My name is Adam Dakin. I'm from Queen Mary Innovation, and I'm here to talk to you today about the Queen Mary intellectual property policy. So largely speaking, the intellectual property policy covers the commercialization of intellectual property. And by that, we mean that there's research that's undertaken in the university that has a tangible outcome in the form of intellectual property, maybe a patent or software, and that intellectual property has commercial potential. And so to realize that commercial potential, there needs to be a licensing agreement with a third party to commercialize it, or Queen Mary has to establish a spin-out company to commercialize it. So in essence, the intellectual property policy covers the deal between the inventors and Queen Mary in terms of the support that would be provided by Queen Mary to help commercialize, and also how the revenues from any commercialization are shared between the inventors and Queen Mary. So as you'll have seen from the previous slide, the commercialization of intellectual property is at the heart of the Queen Mary 2030 strategy. And back in 2015, the intellectual property policy was improved. Prior to 2015, the popular policy mirrored a lot of other universities in that the share of royalties was on a decreasing scale, going down to 30%, going back to the inventors. And the share of any pre-money equity in a spin-out was 40% to the inventors. After 2015, with the new policy, there was a greater share of the proceeds given to the inventors to incentivize them to engage in commercialization activity. And we'll get on to the precise percentages in a moment. So in terms of the policy, the first part is about ownership. And largely speaking, Queen Mary would own the intellectual property of any research that's undertaken in the university. So as an academic, this is by virtue of your employment contract, or indeed the 1977 Patents Act. For a student, if there are Queen Mary resources used in the project, or the project itself is actually designed and largely led by a Queen Mary academic, then the intellectual property is owned by Queen Mary. And then essentially the deal between the inventors and Queen Mary is relatively straightforward. It is up to the inventors to inform Queen Mary Innovation, which is us, that they have a piece of intellectual property they think has commercial potential. And then we will work with the inventors to actually realize that commercial potential by providing evaluation of the opportunity, potentially patenting, and resources to actually develop the opportunity through our proof of concept fund, and finally by securing license deals with industrial partners, or indeed spinning out a company and raising venture capital finance. In the event that we, QMI, cannot commercialise the opportunity, then we will offer personal assignment of the intellectual property back to the inventors so that they get the opportunity to commercialise it themselves. Now on to the important bit, which is how the benefits from commercialisation are shared. As I mentioned, back in 2015, the intellectual property policy was changed to further benefit academics and students involved in commercial activity. And the starting point is that 90% of the benefit goes back to the inventors. And then this reduces to either 70 or 50%, depending on whether the project has benefited from one or two of the following. The first is QMUL, significant resources, which is essentially defined as 50k of proof of concept funding or equivalent. And then QMI, significant resources, which is defined as 1 or 2 years of effort from the QMI team. That was a very quick and a top-level overview of the intellectual property policy, which can be downloaded in its full at the link below. And please do read that at your leisure. Alternatively, we are here to help. So I, Adam Dakin, can be contacted at any point to help any questions in regard to the intellectual property policy, as can Ben Golland and Jim Shake from my team. Thank you very much.